All right, so that was a bad game for the 49ers and for Kyle Shanahan. But it's funny because his worst mistake, possibly, and definitely his weirdest mistake, is going relatively unnoticed. Take a look at this. Bottom of the screen, tight end is Jalen Moore. That is an offensive lineman. George Kittle missed this game, so Jalen Moore played tight end, which I'd understand in some circumstances, but look what Jalen Moore does here. Jalen Moore is going to chip block, and then he's going to run out for a pass pattern. See him? I paused it, bottom of your screen. That's 311-pound Jalen Moore running out for a pass pattern. You're probably watching Brock Purdy dump the ball off to Christian McCaffrey, but I think that we should watch this one more time. The 49ers and Kyle Shanahan sent a 311-pound tight end out on a pass pattern. We can watch the rest of the play here. The mess up here is that Jake Brendel, I paused it again, loses to Jaron Reed, who forces Brock Purdy to go to the check down Christian McCaffrey. But to me, this play is set up to not be an efficient one from the very start when the 49ers are trying to run a 311-pound lineman as a tight end on a pass pattern. As you can see, I paused it here, the defense is not taking it seriously. They shouldn't take it seriously. Even if Jalen Moore catches this football, he's probably much more likely to fumble than any other ball carrier on the 49ers roster. There's a reason you don't put linemen in at tight end to run pass patterns. The 49ers had Moore in for 11 snaps at tight end in this game. No, 12 snaps. I shortchanged them. 12 snaps in this game. And to me, this is Kyle Shanahan's weirdest mistake ever. Why is Jalen Moore in at tight end and running routes? He only ran that one that I just showed you, but it should never happen. It is a complete inefficiency. The 49ers were missing George Kittle, and I understand they want to reprise some of the run blocking prowess that George Kittle does bring to the game. So they put in a lineman, a mobile lineman at that. Jalen Moore can move around. He's an athletic guy. But the glory of George Kittle is that he gives you the route running threat simultaneously to the run blocking threat. So the defense doesn't know it's coming. If the defense sees Jalen Moore at that tight end position, they're not going to take him seriously as a route running threat. As you can see here, Jalen Moore is drawing zero defensive attention. Everybody on the Seahawks is playing the half of the field where the 49ers' actual legitimate targets are. So Jalen Moore is drawing nothing, and he basically burns one of the 49ers' 5 eligibles for absolutely no gravitational pull at all. We talk about the gravity that Christian McCaffrey generates on an opposing defense. Well, Jalen Moore is the anti-Christian McCaffrey. If Christian McCaffrey is like the planet of Jupiter, the biggest planet, drawing all kinds of attention with the gravitational force that it exerts, Jalen Moore is like Pluto. There's nothing coming toward him. He's lost his classification as a planet. I think it's extremely important for Kyle Shanahan to adapt to the personnel that's available. I understand that it's extremely hard when George Kittle is out of the game, but you cannot try to fit a square peg into a round hole. You either have the tight end personnel or you don't. And if you don't have the tight end personnel, it's okay. Go more receiver heavy. Go more running back heavy. Play to your strengths. Obviously, the 49ers do not hold a very confident opinion of guys like Braden Willis or Jake Tonjes because they didn't want to put them in as second tight ends to Eric Saubert in this game. Instead, they put an offensive lineman in Jalen Moore in the game. But the point of the tight end position is that it can be one of your 5 pass-catching eligibles that can run a route and draw some defensive attention. And if you're not drawing any defensive attention, if you're somebody like Jalen Moore not drawing any defensive attention, well, then I think that you're wasting one of the eligibles. Kyle Shanahan, this is the common criticism of Kyle Shanahan. He likes doing things his way. His offense, his scheme is going to operate, and I guess in this case, regardless of the talent on the field. But there are some circumstances in which adaptation is necessary. And I think when you're missing George Kittle and you don't trust the tight ends behind your tight end too, Eric Saubert, you hit one of those circumstances. You cannot worship the scheme to the point where a 311-pounder is running a route that the defense does not care about. You've got to go to 3 wide receivers. You have to go to something where Brock Purdy is going to have a higher chance of success. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, why didn't Purdy throw to Jalen Moore? I don't care if he's not a good receiver. Well, he's the backside read. He's the final read on this play. Brock Purdy cannot get to that read if Jake Brendel is losing this quickly. Brock Purdy has to go to his check down quickly, Christian McCaffrey. He doesn't even have time to scan to the left side of the field because Jaron Reed does beat Jake Brendel at that center position. This was posted by Kyle Posey, by the way. Thanks for the clip to Kyle. And he points out that the 49ers pass protection issues here prevent Brock Purdy from throwing further downfield. He's correct. Look at the top of the screen. That's Juwan Jennings starting to cut inside at about the 45-yard line, just crossing the 45. No way Purdy can go there, though, because Jaron Reed is already in his face. So he's got to take the check down instead to Christian McCaffrey. But Jalen Moore, I'm going to pause it again right here. 49ers would not even be able to think about the backside read on this play unless there was better pass protection. Because at this point, the ball's already complete to McCaffrey. The throw point, though, is going to be, let me make this a little bit bigger so I could actually see when the throw point is for Brock Purdy. Right here. Purdy's throwing the ball right now because he has to throw the ball right now. Jalen Moore is just splitting away from the chip block into the flat. So this is just a failure on Jake Brendel's part because he doesn't hold long enough, doesn't allow Purdy to get his feet set and throw to who should be the primary read. That's Juwan Jennings, who's open on the play. So that's the 49ers pass protection on this particular play, costing them. He has to go to the check down. But boy, you are wasting an eligible on Jalen Moore coming into the flat. There were 12 snaps for Jalen Moore in this game. You could see him chipping and splitting apart. 12 snaps at that tight end position. That, again, tight end is a versatile position. There's a reason that linemen should not be in at that tight end spot. There's a reason that you have specialists for this. And if you don't trust your specialists at the tight end position to do it, the depth at that position behind George Kittle and Eric Saubert, well, then maybe you should think about going to more wide receivers. I think that Shanahan, in that situation, when we criticize why the 49ers offense is out of whack at this point, well, they need to adapt a little bit better to get around some of these injuries. That could make things easier for Brock Purdy because then you space out the defense in a more effective fashion. And when that happens, the reads are easier for Brock Purdy, even if the pass protection in front of him is not good. Anyway, the 49ers have adapted before. Shanahan has adapted before. It's hard to think of a game that they haven't gotten up for when their backs have truly been against the wall. The backs are against the wall when they head to Green Bay this weekend. So we'll see if Shanahan can continue with his track record of getting the 49ers on target, because right now that offense is not on target, but they have turned it around very quickly before. And I think that playing to your available talent is a good way for the 49ers to correct course. Headed down to practice. We'll see you all soon.